Hello, welcome, happy Tuesday. I am so glad you're back. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. This week, we're going to hold a class for our spirit teams. So welcome. Do you see my glasses? Do you see my teacher glasses? I normally only wear them when I'm driving, but this is serious business, okay? So I have my teacher attire on. I look kind of like a pirate. I'm a teacher pirate. I'm here for it. We love teacher pirates. I love myself. I love this. This is great. Okay, so we are going to teach a class called Human Fairness. And please, humans, stick around because this class is for your teams. This class is for your spirit guides, for your highers, for your fullers, to the gods, to especially the beings that are really old and the beings that are really new. Do I have any authority to teach this class? No. Will I catch flack? Will I catch these hands from spirit for doing this class? Absolutely. Already have. Are we doing it anyway? You're damn right. Let's keep going. So in my experiences, in my helping everybody achieve their spiritual goals that I've been doing, I have run into a number of I don't even have a word for it. A number of things that I would like to talk about. And it's things that spirit does to us as humans that I think they just maybe don't really understand. And so that's what this class is for. So hopefully your teams are paying real close attention. And hopefully you can get a little bit more information about how and why some of these spirits operate the way they do to help answer some questions about like, what the hell were they thinking? And also to hopefully help just to bridge the gap between communication and understanding and messages and all of that between you and your teams. But make no mistake, this class is for the spirit teams. I'm clocking you guys. I'm talking to you teams. So let's start with just some of the human basics, right? Humans have needs. Now, spirit has needs too, okay? Depending on the different level of spirit, I know y'all got different needs. I get it. I'm listening. I understand. Humans are a little bit different though. Humans have very unique human needs that I think we need to just kind of remind everybody about. Now, some spirit teams are excellent at helping us be human. They're excellent at reminding us to eat food, reminding us to take care of our bodies, reminding us to rest. Some teams are excellent about it. Typically, the teams that are really good at it know how human needs operate because they have been human, not just once or twice, but like a plethora of times. They have been there, they have done that enough that as they are being a guide or part of a team or whatever they're being, they have enough kind of like background based knowledge to pull from to understand what it's like to be human. And if you have spirits on your team that are like this, that is a gold mine. That is a gold mine, especially right now as we get into all of the new earth energy that's coming in and the upgraded energies, being able to incorporate not just taking care of your human, but taking care of your human in a spiritual way in terms of the way that the food we're eating interacts with our own energy, or the way that we're sleeping or where we sleep interacts with the energy that we bring in, right? So I think that we're going to see some really crazy, really phenomenal stuff moving forward in New Earth if we have really good teams that can help us integrate the spiritual and the human. But not all spirits have been human and have that background human information to pull from. Now, is it quote unquote typical for a human to have guides and a team that don't know what it's like to be human? I wouldn't say it's typical. It's not super atypical either, though. I do come across it and I do see it from time to time, and it's typical enough that it doesn't necessarily raise red flags to me on its own. And there's a number of reasons why a human might not have like a human-based knowledge spirit team background. Mainly the main reason I see is because the spirit that came in to be human has a very specific, particular role or job or task that they have to do on Earth. And it is in coming to Earth, that's basically their one main or one true goal. And so they have to have a team that can remind them of their goal, that can remind them of the energies of where they came, that can help keep that connection so that that one main task gets done, because that's what they're prioritizing. And in many cases, the human spirit that came in to do this has agreed to prioritize it, has agreed that this is the main task, and it's in everybody's best interest to fulfill that. So they don't know quite as much about humans, but they know a lot about whatever they think needs to get done. So it is to these spirits that I would like to address this next part. Okay, so humans, we need food, we need water. We should have water. I need more water. We need food, we need water, we need rest, we need to release. we need to be able to function without melting. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the state of society right now is a little bit a thing. So we need to be able to function and take care of our human and not melt and still have eyes on the bigger human picture. And that is a really, really hard thing to balance without the spirit stuff. So spirits, cut the shit. We got a lot going on, okay? Calm down, tell your human to get a glass of water and take a breath. Okay, spirit, take a breath. Let's move on to the next very unique human thing. Okay, so humans have very unique emotions. Now, I know that spirit has emotions. Okay, I know you have emotions too. I'm not saying you don't understand what emotions are. I am saying that humans experience emotion in a very unique way. Asherah described our ability to hold emotions and not break as being Gaia's greatest gift to us. And that is very true because in spirit, these super, super intense emotions do kind of break apart. They break the spirit apart. I call it splitting, fracturing, fragmenting. There's a whole bunch of different ways that the energy splits up and reasons why the energy splits up. And it tends to be very bad. It's very bad when your energy just breaks apart, okay? So I'm not saying spirit doesn't understand the intensity of emotions, okay? But listen, human emotions are experienced in a very different way. Now, being somebody who is able to astral travel to experience how spirit experiences things, mainly so I stop being so mean to them about it, but I have experienced, to the best of my human brain, what it is like to experience an emotion as a spirit. And there is a lot of fear involved in, is this going to break me? Is this going to literally split me apart? And I either have to forfeit that part of myself or I have to go through all of this really difficult, really, really long time to fix it. Humans have I like to think about it sometimes as an accelerated version of that. We are able to hold the emotions in ourselves without splitting, but that causes the emotion to compound in a very unique way. It causes the emotion to, it kind of just feels like a pot boiling over where you feel like you're going to split, but you don't. And without that split, without that release, and it's not really a release, that's not really fair to call it a release, but without that, the pot kind of boils over and it gets really intense. And when that pot boils over, it messes with the way our brains work. It messes with the way our human brains work. We have no control over it. Our emotions are flooded with chemicals from our human body. Okay. We don't have the same type of control over emotions that spirit often kind of assumes that we do. It's not the same. It is experienced in a very different sort of intensity. Now, by no means am I trying to downplay the intensity that is emotions as a spirit, okay? Emotions as a spirit and emotions as a human are two very distinct, very intense things. And I'm not saying that one's better than the other, and I'm not saying that one is ideal, okay? Both hold really, really crazy things in them. To experience things as a spirit, you do hold that fear of what if this is too much? What if this causes that? What if this happens? There's a lot of fear there. There's a lot of walking on eggshells in certain situations to not fracture. And I understand that. On the same coin, the reason that these emotions as a human is Gaia's greatest gift to us is not just that we can feel it more intensely, not just that we can feel joy more intensely, not just that we can feel love and pleasure and ecstasy more intentionally. I am not sure if spirit can experience the intensities of these emotions quite like we can as a human. I've never met a spirit that showed me that they could experience it as a spirit. We'll put it that way. So it is unique to experience as a human, the joys and the intensities of such thing. And that's one of the reasons I think that all of the gods wanted to come hang out on Earth when Gaia first created it, because it had potential for such unique things that were not seen in the rest of the universe. But at the same time, that intensity compounds. And especially right now, with all of the processing off, all of the removing, the shedding, the shifting to new earth, we are compounding the things that we need to shed. We're compounding the things that need to get processed on mass amounts, on a bulk scale right now. Like, it is shedding season. We are getting rid of it, okay? But to compound all of that on top of all of the human intensities, on top of the state of affairs, it's a lot. Okay, so when we as humans have shadow work things that we need to work through, you cannot simply look at what shadow work things do we need to get through? You have to look at the compounding effects of things. Now, humans, if you feel like your team is throwing things at you left and right and you don't know what's going on, you should take a look at that. Are you always going to find an answer? Absolutely not. I have people that I've been helping from day one that I still don't have an answer to why things are operating the way they are, why things haven't moved. I don't have all the answers. And I'm not saying that you're going to find answers, but I do think it is worth having a conversation with your team. Even if you can't hear them back, talk to them. Let them know this is too much. This is compounding. This is from things that are not even of this life that I am dealing with right now. Let them know the intensity that you want to work on your shadow work, but make clear that you understand if you're lowering the intensity, you are sometimes just kind of slowing it down a bit, which is not necessarily a bad thing, especially right now with the compounding things that we have, okay? But if you, as a human, feel like your team is just not quite getting it, have a conversation with them, even if you can't hear them back. Lay out in classroom form, channel your inner pirate teacher, Rebecca, and have a class for them. Tell them what is feeling the most intense. Tell them what aspect of your life it's coming from, and tell them what's too much. Tell them, well, when I get to this point, well, when my thoughts turn this, well, when I can't do that. Tell them that's your line. Tell them that's your boundary that you can't cross right now, or your human will crack open like an egg. This next part is not for the majority of teams, okay? I've not seen this on the majority of teams, and I'm very glad because this is one of the things that I want to have a very serious conversation with our spirit teams about because I don't like this at all. So I'm not talking to all the spirit teams. I'm talking to the ones that you know who you are, okay? I am not a fan of the jump scares. I am not a fan of the surprise trauma dumps or spirits or trickster lessons or anything like that, okay? Let me tell you what I mean. Let's just assume from the start that the reason spirit implies these methods is not because they're trying to be mean or not because they just hate us and want to punish us, but simply a lack of understanding of human bodies, of how things operate, of our emotions and our traumas and things like that, right? So let's just assume that spirit doesn't understand humanness, which is why we're having a human fairness class. Yeah. So spirit, I'm assuming you don't understand. And that's why you're implying these methods, because these are kind of fucked up methods. And I would like you to stop. Okay. So let me give you an example. This is one that I see often. There is a point in many people's spiritual paths where spirit teams teach us how to protect ourselves, how to deal with trickster spirits, or how to guard our own energies, how to work with our shields, they're teaching us, right? They have guarding, protection style teaching things, right? Now, one of the ways that I have seen spirit introduce this lesson is with a jump scare, is by opening up a hole in the shield of the human and letting a mild, easily controlled trickster spirit come in to scare the human. This is what I'm talking about. This is the jump scare. Why are we doing that? That should not be the opening of any lesson. Any lesson should not open with a jump scare. Who gave you your license? Now, I know what you're going to say, Spirit. You're going to say, well, I tried to give them lessons. I tried to give them a warning. I sent this sign. I sent that sign. It's not my fault they didn't hear it. Yes, it is. Yes, it is your fault that they didn't get it. If they weren't getting your signs, if they weren't getting your signals, maybe backtrack and work on that, okay? And I understand situations are unique, okay? I understand maybe something's coming up and they need to learn to protect themselves sooner rather than later. I get it. I understand. You're the team. You're the teacher. Figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's the universe and anything is possible, and you can find another way to not jump scare introduction lessons, okay? I'm just saying, it shouldn't. I'll help you brainstorm. We can have a chit chat, okay? Just figure it out. Sorry you had to see me like that, humans. Normally I keep that on an astral level with spirit, but it had to be done. I don't like the jump scares, okay? I think that the jump scares trigger too much of our nervous system, okay? And as a human, our nervous system is basically triggered all of the time, especially in the United States right now. It's not a fun time. Our nervous system is already triggered. Triggering our nervous system even more is going to cause our human brains to shut down because now we're flooded with chemicals that literally turn off parts of our brain. We are not going to be able to learn anything when we are afraid. We are not going to be able to learn anything when our systems are triggered like that. There has to be a better way, okay? And I get it. I get it. Being a spirit team is hard. There wasn't much that you could do before. let's find a new way. Let's find a new path. We can get there with the new earth energies. We can get there with the new earth possibilities. The communication methods are changing. The styles are changing. The possibilities are changing. We don't need jump scares anymore. Okay. There are better ways to introduce the lessons of protections, and you can save the jump scares to the end so that we can all learn how powerful we actually are. I'm not saying no jump scares. I'm saying we don't start lessons with jump scares. Okay. Humans, I know you're watching this and you're probably like, I want zero jump scares. I don't know why she said some jump scares. I want zero. If you want zero jump scares, tell your team you want zero jump scares. I do personally, I'm a little fucked up in the brain, okay? I do personally think that there is a good dose of confidence that comes from the jump scare method. And I'm not 100% opposed to it, because getting the shit done and proving to yourself that you can do it and that you don't need anybody. You don't need to call in backup. You don't need to call in friends and family. You don't need to call in your spirit team because you can handle it. There's a good dose of confidence that comes from that. And I think that confidence can only come from being thrown into that situation. But I am not you. I'm not your nervous system. I don't know where you're at and I don't know where you're going. And if that is not in the cards for you right now, make that clear to your team. Tell your team, maybe if you help me with all this other shit, maybe we can get there down the line, but we are not there right now. And we're going to stay over here until it's time. Have a conversation with your team, have a lesson, have a pirate class, do whatever you got to do. Okay. Communicate with your team all of the time about what you want, what you don't want, what you demand, and what is unacceptable. And again, I'm not saying that this is a foolproof method. I'm not saying that just because you tell your team this boundary that they're going to listen to you, but I am saying it is worth telling your team, and it is worth telling your team over and over and over again, even if you feel like they're not listening. Okay, let's move on to one of my favorite topics. And this is in reference to all of our spiritual friends that are very, very, very old. I, with the most respect, am begging you to just know that you're old. It would be so helpful if old beings knew how old they were. Let me explain. Let's just set the scene for a second. So before we started all of the new earth shifting, before we started raising the collective consciousness vibration, all of that, before all of that, I was just out popping around in astral causing chaos. I don't know. I don't want to tell you it's me. Okay. So I would pop around and I would accidentally run into these very, very old beings. And in a lot of cases, I would accidentally wake them up from a very long nap. And I would apologize profusely because I appreciate a good nap. But I do think that this topic is becoming more and more relevant, because as we are getting into this shifting, as we are getting into raising the collective consciousness, all of the new earth energy, older beings are waking up, and it's not all my fault. Okay, so these older beings are waking up to come help and to come monitor, because the shifting that earth does affects a good majority of the universe. It affects all of the surrounding energies, the surrounding timelines, realities, all of the things, right? So if you are in proximity of earth raising its consciousness, earth raising its vibration is going to change. You're going to need to have other balances in place. That's a whole nother thing, right? So the beings are waking up. They're very old. It's not all my fault. Okay, let's keep going. Now, as humans, we have to understand that these old beings, these very old beings that are outside of experiencing modern humans, they are so far outside of experiencing modern humans that some of them have experienced humans kind of with different rules of reality. Maybe they've experienced humans in a reality where magic was possible, in a reality where they're still riding dragons, and that reality looks very different than our reality. I would love a dragon. I don't know where I would keep it, but I kind of can ride horses. I feel like I could ride a dragon. We could try. It's very different reality though. So first and foremost, some of these older beings don't actually understand the reality that they are channeled into or that you are coming from. So if you do find yourself in a situation as a spirit or as a human where maybe the spirit does not understand where we are on the human timeline or the reality that we are, it can be helpful to have just kind of like a very, very quick review, a very quick review of just the knowledge that you hold of your experiences, keeping in mind that our experiences are simply our experiences. They can be limited worldview, but just share experiences, share what's up, share what's happening, share media, share culture. Just really, really try to share as much as you can with the older being, and the older being really, really look at it, really look at not just the way that society is, right? Like I have shorts on right now. I have my hair exposed. Like society changes over the years or based on culture. So not only just where the human is now, where the culture is of the human, but on on a more global scale as well. I hope that makes sense. And there are so many reasons why this exchange, especially right at the beginning, can be so helpful, not just to kind of catch the being up on like, hey, this is what things look like right now, but to teach the being the language, to teach the being the communications. This is also a really good opportunity as a human to practice and to really put a conscious effort into the ways that we communicate with spirit, into the signs that we personally use with them, into the symbolism that we personally use, into maybe our strongest clair abilities, all of these things. This is a really good opportunity for us to bring that consciously and ask spirit, like, hey, this is how I get the most information. This is how I get the most, emotions. I can get so much information from emotions. If you don't know my language, can you give me an emotion? Because I can translate that. I can use my English and translate emotions, right? So this is an excellent opportunity as a human to practice that, but it is an excellent opportunity as an older being to learn the language, to learn the slang, to learn the culture about it. I always think of this one really fun being that's actually from the future. And he's called Blue Vein. And every once in a while he comes to see me. And I just barely understand the words that he's saying to me. I just barely understand that it's English, because not only is it a dialect from the future, but it's also like a teenage dialect. So I was already out of the ballpark with that one. But it is very, very, I feel like we underestimate just being able to speak the same language. And so it's very, very helpful to just have that brief overview to get the general culture, to get the general language, to get just general communication sense going. And as a human, we have to keep in mind that not all spirits are built the same, right? Not all spirits are the same. Not all spirits come from the same place, have the same goals, understand the same things. So if you find yourself in a situation where you are asking the spirit for advice or for help, you're asking this really older being, help me work on this thing. Help me. What would you do in this situation? Be the advice human or spirit. It can be helpful as a human to think through some of the consequences of that advice, be it the positive or the negative consequences. Because like I said, if you're taking advice from a being that is so old, you just taught it what English was, it maybe doesn't understand the full intricacies and complexities that is your human life right now. For example, if you were to tell this older being, I don't want to go to work today, the older being might just be like, well, don't go. Duh, right? Like not understanding why we need work, why we need money, why we can't just go out and hunt our food, why we can't just go out and gather our rainwater, right? Like the complexities of not just we've lost a lot of these skills, but also it's illegal. We're not literally allowed to. Or even the complexities of the way that the energy works and the kind of intricacies of who all has their fingers kind of within Earth's energy that is spiritual. There's a lot at play. And so before you just jump into whatever advice the older being is giving you, it can be helpful for the two of you to kind of work through some of the consequences, because if the older being is on your side, is really trying to help, they might see, oh yeah, I understand you need food. I forgot humans needed food. Yeah, you should probably go get some food, right? Like they can kind of adjust, and that can also help you build that bridge, that can help you build that communication, and it can help you build trust with that being and with yourself. And like I said, older beings are some of my favorites. They are fascinating. I learned so much from them, not even just in the way that they talk to me and the things that they say, but in the way that they appear to me, in the way that they operate, in the way their energy flows or doesn't flow or is contained. It's fascinating. I love it. But it's not something that you can just dive headfirst into and expect to turn out peachy keen. You have to set the groundwork. You have to set the foundation, which that's what I want to talk about next. This is going to be the last topic for the video, and it is arguably the most important because I've seen very dramatic, very not things that I want to see from skipping this step. So spirit, you cannot skip foundations. I don't care. I don't care who the human is. I don't care how big the human spirit is. I don't care how big the human soul is. I don't care who the human is. You can't skip foundations. Okay, humans, don't freak out. You might be like, how do I know if my spirit team skipped the foundations or not? Don't freak out, okay? I am working with the best team. We are developing a spiritual 101 class to hopefully give everybody an understanding of the foundations that we probably should have to operate as a human in a spiritual world. So that's coming. Take a deep breath. I'm yelling at your team. Don't you worry, I got you. We're talking to your team. This is their fault. They're the ones in trouble right now. Yes, I know. I'm going to be the one in trouble after this video because Spirit's like, you're being kind of disrespectful, Rebecca. And I know, full disrespect, Spirit. I will pay for that later. But full disrespect, Spirit. You can't skip foundations. It is so dangerous. It is so incredibly dangerous to have a human that has all of this natural connection and ability and power to have skipped some of these foundations. Let me tell you why. So let me set the scene for you. A general situation that I see come up way too often. All right. So let's take a human kid, a human child, phenomenal natural abilities, connected to their fuller selves, has natural clairsenses, whatever they may be. They are interacting with spirit in all of the fullness that they are as a child, right? And our abilities as children tend to be increased. We tend to not have all of the filters that we get as we grow up. And I suspect moving forward with all of the potential coming in and the energy coming in, not just ourselves, but our children and their children are just going to keep increasing their natural abilities that they just have, that they just remember how to use, right? But let's say nobody taught you how to do it. You didn't have a remembering how to use it. You just had them. And so now you have all of these beings coming up to you that your human brain is doing the best to translate. You probably have no other humans you can talk to about it. And some of these beings are scaring the shit out of you because you can just see them and nobody has explained anything to you. Nobody has explained what they are, what they're doing, who they are, if they're family, if they're foe. You're just scared. So now we're building unconscious blocks. We're building unconscious walls, and we are blocking all of these things out. And that's probably helping us as a child. But if we want to unblock it in the future as a spiritual adult, it can be really tricky to unblock things that you don't know are there because we've unconsciously created these blocks. We've unconsciously put up these walls because we are so powerful. We are so naturally connected that if we just say, I don't want to see it anymore, a block goes up, a wall goes up, and that's it. We just don't see it anymore. Now, sometimes we just naturally can take them down when it's time. Our team naturally helps us disassemble them. However, another situation that I see very often is when a child, when a human is just so naturally connected to their fuller self, their energy bridge, their connection is so far up, so far away, so far out that the connections that are the guide vibrations and the ancestor vibrations and the ghost vibrations, the lower, more earth human vibrations, most of the time we don't even see them. If we are all the way up there naturally, the ones down here, we don't even see, we don't even acknowledge. We have no idea that they're there in a lot of cases. And if it's our guides that are supposed to help us disassemble these walls and disassemble these blocks when it's time, if we're supposed to be working with our guides to disassemble them, but we can't find them because we're so high up, now we're stuck. Now the only source of communication that we have with spirit is so far away. They're probably really busy. They probably have a lot of other stuff going on. They're not monitoring our human bodies the same way that our guides and our ancestors and the closer human vibrations are monitoring. They don't quite see it in the same zoomed in type of detail that our guides and our teams do. Now, that's not the case in every situation. Sometimes our fullers do everything. I'm not talking to you. If you are an overachieving fuller, you know who you are. I'm not talking to you, okay? But the fullers that just have this natural connection with their human, but don't step in and help to kind of assemble the lines of communication, these can cause real serious issues. This can get very, very dangerous. And it opens up the human to kind of seek out other higher levels beings that are of that level without knowing what they're doing, without knowing how to vet spirits, without knowing how to do things safely, without knowing how to guard their energy, without knowing how to not get taken advantage of. There's a whole level of safety and security that we're supposed to be reaching before we get that level so that we can do things at that level safely. But if we just have this natural connection and we don't have anybody on a more human level to help us build that foundation, to help us take those steps, you can see how it can get very, very dangerous very, very quickly. And so, to the spirits that are of that really far away connection, to the spirits that do know that their humans are just naturally connected to that ability, please take some time and help them establish communication connections with the beings that are going to help keep them safe. If you are not going to step in and do it yourself, which I understand, y'all are busy, fullers are phenomenal right now. Fullers are out there getting the shit done, and we appreciate it as a human, trust me. But we do need a little bit of help. We would love a little bit more guidance. We would love a little bit more communication, a little bit more information. We need that foundation to not only keep ourselves as a human safe, but to keep our energy safe, which affects our fuller, which affects all of the other us's, all of the other yous and me's and everybody, right? We need to know how to keep our energy where it needs to be. We need to know how to do these things safely. So I understand if you don't have time to do it. You're doing phenomenal, amazing fuller things. My hat off to you. please just help build those connections, help remove just whatever little blocks need to be removed so that we can proceed safely. I know these are things that maybe just didn't even cross our Fuller's mind. They didn't cross your mind, right? I get it. Just, this is why we're having a human fairness class, right? And to all the humans, this is just one of many reasons why I so often stress that we have to have that base knowledge. We have to have that base foundational knowledge to build off of, because if we don't have it, it can get really dangerous really quickly. And I'm not saying that you have to have all of the foundational knowledge done before you take next steps in other areas. I'm saying make sure we're not skipping foundations. I'm saying if you need to work on more than one thing at once, that's okay. You can take it at your pace. You can do what you need to do, but make sure that you are not just trying to zoom all the way to the top and skip everything in the middle, because that is so very, very dangerous. And like I said, you can always go back and fill in any gaps. You can always go back and add more to your foundation. And I have found that people who do just have a natural ability, a natural connection to their fuller, a lot of what they're doing when they go back to add to their foundation is just bringing what they subconsciously know, or what their fuller knows, or just what they can pull from astral into their conscious brain. It's just bringing it forward so that we know it. And as easy as that sounds, as almost nonsense as that sounds, it is so important, because let's say here's my foundation, right? And I have 3 great blocks. Minecraft is in my brain because my kids. I have 3 Minecraft blocks, right? And that's my foundation. And I use those Minecraft blocks to build over here, right? And so now I'm here and I am this far away and I've done all of the work. That is phenomenal, right? But let's say I want to do something here now. I don't want to jump here. I want to come back to my foundation and build those Minecraft blocks there. And that simple act of going back to your foundation, of bringing what you know to your conscious brain to know that you know it, makes a huge difference down the line. Let me give you an example. Let's say I jumped from here to here and I said, oh my gosh, no, I have to go back. And I said, okay, here's my foundation. I know that spirits feel like this. I know that if I get afraid, I can do this. I know that if I don't know what to do, I can call on this person. And it's just bringing, again, forward consciously what you already know and building from there. Because then if I hit an issue, I know where to jump back to. I know who I can call. I've brought it consciously forward in my brain, in that line, in that energy bridge, in that aspect. So that when you're channeling, so that when you're getting information, so that when you're traveling and fucking around, that is all there in your conscious brain for you to jump back on. You don't have to jump over here and then go down and try to find it. It's already there. Do you guys get where I'm trying to go with that? So that's what I'm going to leave you, both spirit and human, with today. Please, please, please don't skip your foundation. It is becoming more important now with all of the changing and all of the energies and all of the shifting. It's so important, and it's going to stay very, very important. I can't stress that enough, for us to have our foundations, for us to just go back and remind ourselves what we know, to double check what we know, what we think we know, because everything's changing. Double check what you think you know. Before you just go exploring again. Just always go back to your foundation, make sure it's solid, make sure everything's true, and then go off and enjoy your astral, spiritual, full life. Okay, everybody, it's time to go. Class is over. Thank you for coming to my human fairness class today. I hope to see you all again next week. I hope I didn't scare anybody away, human or spirit, but most importantly, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it helps us all stay safe, stay grounded, stay confident moving forward.